Broadcast for shooters, hunters, and gun enthusiasts. This is the Firearms Radio Network. The bandwidth for this episode of Gun Guy Radio is sponsored by Patriot Patch Company. PatriotPatch.co.
Welcome to episode 237 of Gun Guy Radio. This is the podcast that shines a positive light on the firearms lifestyle. I'm your host, Jake Challand, with co-host Zack Carlson. This is your weekly dose of positive firearms talk without the politics. Zack, I think I need a standing setup so I get more energy in my voice. What do you think?
Oh, yeah, a standing desk. Are those still popular, I wonder? I think they are, aren't they?
If you can have it at home, they are.
So I've seen people try to do treadmill desks where they have like a little bridge that goes across the treadmill and you walk on there, and I just don't think I could do it. I don't know how they do it.
Oh, I'd break my neck. There'd be no way. I can't chew and walk at the same time, so I don't think I could do a treadmill desk. So you're even working from home, right? Or is that top secret info?
No, it's the pandemic has finally affected me. We are an Idaho company. Lone Wolf is an Idaho company, but we're right on the border of Washington. So about half of our employees live in Washington State. And this week, the governor did the stay-at-home order, blah, blah, blah. And we said, okay, well, we should probably send people home that can work home. And so I was one of the ones that actually I could do most of my work from home. So I've been home since Wednesday, and it's different. I don't know that it's better. Maybe it's slightly skewed because I have my wife also working at home and my 7-year-old son bouncing back between us. So maybe if I was by myself home, it'd be all right. I don't know that to be a fact. It is kind of nice. There's a few things I do like a lot, like having an actual hot cooked lunch, instead of, a microwave or whatever you bring kind of thing. That's really nice.
Thought you were going to say have an actual hot cook.
Well, that too. Yes. And that comes together, but I don't know if it's so hard to like shut off. Like, you don't feel like a separation in your day. Where,
welcome to my world.
Exactly. I had like a 40-minute commute each way, and that's where I was able to, in the morning, transition from home life to work life and get my mind right before I started the work, and then the reverse on the way home. And I don't know. I'll have to adjust that. I'm sure it's something you just adjust to, but only been in it a couple of days. It's definitely been different. So, and then a few days after the Washington one went, Idaho also did its stay in, shelter in place deal. Thankfully, the Idaho one specifically says firearms related businesses are considered essential. And even in the Idaho legislature, there's lines in there that when a state of emergency is declared, the governor or any other person cannot diminish anything with firearms. You can't. Awesome. It's written right in there. So that was kind of cool. So that's what we were going to fall back on if his list of essential businesses did not include firearms. But it is. So we are still shipping as normal, but anybody that could work from home is basically working from home.
Cool. Well, I'm as well working from home.
The bunker.
The bunker. We had to add a few more machine gun nests, but otherwise, I think we're pretty safe here.
I had always wanted, if I had my druthers and I could build and I had money to do it, I would have a place in the woods that had a whole perimeter fence of 40-foot connexes that were all welded together to be one big tube. And then at the corners, stand up 40-footers on their ends and make towers that had a staircase inside that went to another 20-footer that teed off on top of it that had observation posts. I think that would be so cool, but each one of those containers is a few grand a piece. So depending on how big your property would be, you could probably only do the corners, but a whole front fence of it. Like if you were the UPS man and you were rolling up and you just saw a whole thing of containers, a whole wall of it with a gate in the middle and machine gun nests at the corners, it'd make you think twice, I would think.
Yeah. Well, how are you going to get your toilet paper delivered then? They're too
all the containers would already be full of toilet paper. I would just you do it. Think of all the storage in there, all the dry storage.
We're already going into the prepper segment. You said you haven't even thought about it, but you have thought about it.
Well, yeah. Wait, that's just life. That's not prepping for anything. That's just living.
So I thought about building a shop out of the shipping containers where you take, you build like an outside perimeter with them for the shop and do them 2 or 3 high, depending on how big you wanted it. And then, because essentially that would be your 4 walls, and then you just have to put a steel roof over the part you're opening in the center. And then the outside would be like storage and offices and everything, and then you'd have the big inside shop space. Thought it kind of naturally would work out, but you're right; those are so expensive. Compared to like a pole barn or even an engineered shed, more traditional steel structure. It's still cheaper. It's just it doesn't work out after you add so many containers.
No, they're great for what they do, which is dry storage in just about any conditions and rigidity to get there and back. But making a full structure out of them just doesn't seem logical unless there's a specific need.
I think it's on Netflix. There's like a container home show.
Yeah, but those are all such BS. I mean, like they cut all the walls out and everything and connect them all together. And it's like, okay, well, this could have been done the same way with just regular construction materials.
I think there's like only 1 or 2 seasons on Netflix or somewhere of that show, and like all of them are really stupid. Like some of them are like, oh, I'm an artist and I've got a 20-foot container in my parents' backyard, so I have my own space. And
oh yeah, that's what we're gonna. That's the millennials right there. It's like, I'm gonna be nature and blah blah blah, and let alone this thing traveled from China to here to bring our crap here, and then they just are cheaper to sell them instead of sending them back to China to get refilled.
But I think on that show, I think it was that show, there was one couple that did one out in the country, like beautiful, I don't know, Midwest countryside, I forget what state. Real nice piece of property. It might have even been like a family piece of property. And they went all out and built this massive container home, and like all high quality inside and out. But at the end of the day, it still looks like just a bunch of containers slapped together. And they had to put a massive amount of money into it to make it look, as nice, and like they had big open floor plan. So they cut, a lot of the inside walls out and stuff and put reinforcements in. But it's still just, I don't know, so ugly. The
only time I think it would make a whole lot of sense that'd be really cool would be as a decoy entrance to your underground bunker. It just looks like it's storing a 4-wheeler or something in front of it, and then you open a secret hatch and there's a staircase that goes down, like to Raccoon City down below, and like 40, well, not 40 stories, but it's just down below. But that's, I don't know. We have one as a shooting pit, and by the time you spray foam it and seal it and everything, it is not that big inside. Like, you have to have multiple 40-footers to make anything actually usable, unless you're willing to sleep inside of like a container. If you want it to feel like a container.
Right, then you're like sleeping on a submarine or something. It just doesn't appeal to me. But this won't help me out. But like, if you work a ways away from home and stuff, but you could strategically. I'm just thinking Lord of War, where he's got that container like just under this random overpass full of guns and passports and stuff. I'm like, you could have your bug out spot be like this random looking container in the cityscape that no one they just think it's construction related or abandoned, but really you got like a 50 BMG in there and stuff, and your go kit, and maybe even you could even have a car in there stashed anytime you need it. And would that be
a pretty small car?
Yeah. Would that be EMP proof if you had everything in a container? And like an EMP hit the city, and all you had to do was bug out to your container from your city office, and you had like a little 4x4 thingy in there, like ready to just you hop in, turn the key, and buzz out. And you're only one with a working vehicle.
Okay. My luck would be like the gas would be stale or the battery would be dead, and I'd be like, all right, the zombie horde is coming.
Right.
God dang it! There's no power to even charge the battery.
Right. Oh yeah, you couldn't even. Well, batteries would still work though. You could pull a battery out of a dead car.
Yes, but I wouldn't have the stick-to-itness to go to that said container like every year or so to make sure the battery's still charged and has enough power. I would need like a pull start on it or something, like a go-kart.
Well, maybe we could have like a service company that goes out and we make sure that your end of the world bug out vehicles and stuff and guns and everything. We service all this for the customer, for the consumer, so that when the balloon goes up, we're there to serve you, and so that you don't have that scenario, right?
Oh, that wouldn't be a customer database worth hacking now, would it?
Well, that's
names, addresses, billing details, and locations of everybody's stashes.
That's the real kicker, because when they come out to get in their bug out Batmobile, we've already taken it because we know about it.
Ooh, that is a 3D chess game right there. All right, well, I like where you're going with this.
Just need a business name. That's it. Well, while you're thinking on that, Patriot Patch Company helps make this episode possible. Just got a shipment of the AR-15 cleaning mats in stock. They're back ordered for just a second, but if you're looking for awesome cleaning mats, and also have a AK version, 1911 version, so check it out, patriotpatch.co. Also check out all the awesome patch designs in the Patch of the Month Club, patriotpatch.co. So I guess we already kind of did the prepper corner thing. My one thought, and I don't think I brought this up last time, was that, we did like a prepper episode after, I think it was after I first moved here to South Dakota. And one of the things I talked a lot about was population density, and to take that into consideration when you're making your plan or deciding where to move to. And that was something I took into consideration when I decided, when we made a decision of what states we were looking at, because some states are just way more populated than others, and as it turns out with this virus, it kind of seems like the less populated your state is, the better off you are, and the more populated your state or city is, maybe, I don't know, not necessarily more at risk for the virus, but you're more at risk for shortages. We've seen these Costco's in some of these cities, just, they look like, well, you even said part of your Costco looked like a brand new empty warehouse, but like some even worse than that, and not just Costco's, but Walmart's and everywhere else. And they're just a lot harder hit in the more densely populated areas. So I think that's, just something to think about. Again, if you guys are making plans to maybe relocate slightly, maybe it's not even a whole state. Maybe it's only, moving farther out in the suburbs. I mean, anything helps.
Well, I think that's going to be the one takeaway that we get here is I think there's going to be so many companies and employees that realize that remote work is possible. Mm-hmm. And like, there's so many employers that just diss it because they can't see their employees. So they just assume they're screwing off and not doing their work and all that. But like, if you have a system in place to track progress, like what is the big deal? Who cares where they're sitting at their computer? I literally grabbed my iMac Pro off my desk at work and brought it here. Like, it's the same thing. The only thing I had to do was add a VPN so I can get files out from the office, but it was super simple. And I'm literally sitting in the same desk chair that I usually have at my office. Like, there's nothing different. If you can do it remotely, I think that will also then, if people take it to heart and find remote employment, then I think people could take the rural areas a little bit more seriously for actual moving to.
Right. Yeah, I mean, definitely. I think that's one big positive is that, kind of two parts. A lot of employers will hopefully see how viable work from home can be for some of the employees, and also some of these, some of the employees themselves will see that, hey, this, kind of embrace this technology where in the past, they've been like, oh, no, I'm never going to do Zoom or anything. And then all of a sudden they're forced to do Zoom because they're forced to work from home. So that's kind of funny, too.
Yeah, and I think that, people with Amazon 2-day delivery and all these, like, I mean, you get your groceries just by ordering online and going into the parking lot, right? And they just take it to you like that. You live in the middle of nowhere, like, and that's still even available to you. You are in literally the middle of nowhere, and you have what internet you have? You have really good internet there, right?
Fiber optic. Yeah, it's insane. We're literally the middle of nowhere. Our county has less than 6,000 people living in it, and I live. We live in the middle of a square mile of cornfield, like exactly in the middle. You have to drive a half mile down my driveway to get to the road, and yet we have fiber optic, which is amazing.
Isn't that crazy? And I would love to run the genesis of that. Like, is that from like early 2000s when they said they had to get all these rural people up on high-speed internet, and they just like overbuilt the system, and now people are finally getting the fruits of that labor now? Or
I don't know.
There's got to be a reason.
It seems a little bit random to me, because I got firewood from a guy that was about, I don't know, 15 miles away or something. Maybe not even that. Maybe like 12 miles away, something like that. And he was telecommuting, because he had, changed locations and stuff. And, anyways, I asked him what he had for internet, and he had to rely on, just the phone, LTE. And I'm like, dang, you got data limits and everything. He's like, yeah, sometimes I run out. And, but they didn't have fiber out there. And then like, that was another county over though. But then in like our same county, there's like towns still that are just now getting fiber. So it seems a little bit random. And I figured out this place got fiber in, like 2011, because I had to reset the fiber box and I saw the manufacturer date on it. So it hasn't been here, I mean, it's been here 9 years now.
That's quite a long time. That's a long time. Fiber was not even like a thing for consumers for quite a while. So, I mean, that's pretty recent, I think. Or, I mean, that's a long time. That's early days.
And so they're pushing fiber a lot right now. And that's because the state of South Dakota is making a concentrated effort to give grants to communities and companies to push high-speed internet for the whole state, so that brings more employment opportunities to South Dakota. That may have been it was a different governor back then, but that may have been the same kind of deal. There was state grants to push it.
Makes sense. Yeah, I think we will come away from all this once this all blows over and we stabilize again. I think a lot of paradigms will probably be shifted a bit.
So we're not really doing the main topic this week, but Zach, we're going to just talk what we've been up to. So Zach, you were holding your new baby there.
Oh, my new baby. Yes, I have I think it's probably about a 5.5 pound, 11.5 inch baby. I know it's an odd proportion for a baby, but whatever.
It's gonna be a short kid.
This is my.
Oh,
I hate calling it M16, but it's just basically a full auto AR-15. I don't know what we'd call that. M16 kind of comes with its own little baggage. It's not a 20-inch A2 stocked gun, which was what I think of an M16. But basically, it's an 11.5 inch barreled. A1 slick side upper, full auto trigger group, plain Jane stock and grip, and it is a machine gun. And
this is your heat gun, right?
This is my heat gun. Yeah, it basically looks like a Colt 733 is what they use in heat. Now, I did look at some screenshots. It's a little bit different. I think in heat they had a forward assist on the receiver. I went with a slick side upper just for I like to look better, and I don't really use the forward assist, but it's an A1 style, so you don't have the elevation adjustment in the carry handle. And a lot of people, you put carry handles on flat tops, and I have those as well. I just don't like them as much because a true integrated carry handle design, you get a lot more room in the handle area. It's a lot bigger grip there. So the integrated, the bolt-on carry handles are a little bit different and are a smaller gap there. And I don't think they did look right, but this gun has been an adventure so far. I had a 16-inch barrel that was left over when I converted I don't know if you remember this, but when we did the 223 to 224 Valkyrie build, I think that was last year or so, I pulled the barrel off of a Smith & Wesson Sport 2 that I had, and I put that barrel on, and then I sold that gun when I was done with it. But I had the 16-inch barrel laying around, and it had an A2 front sight post before. That's what it was when I, bought it. And so I thought, I'll just use this barrel. That'll save me a ton of money. Dan over at Larson Systems, he has a lathe and he can chop and thread barrels. It'll be all great. Everything's good. So he cut the barrel, threaded it, and we got together to reassemble this upper, because I got this slick side upper, and I went to go put the pins in, but I lost the pins. I don't know where. I had the front sight post, and I lost the 2 cross pins that are pressed in. Huh. And so I ordered new ones off of Brownells, and I went to go put the whole thing together. And apparently that front sight post it must have been the one I took off my Springfield Saint when I converted that into a low pro and a long rail. And so I knew this, but I didn't know the ramifications of this. But, when they put these front sight posts on, they fixture the barrel and the front sight post together, and they drill the holes together and pin them. So it's a barrel to front sight alignment together. They're kind of a match set at that point. There's no guarantees putting another sight on there using the existing holes is going to line up. And so I put the other one on there, and as soon as the pins got in there, they lined up for the most part, but as soon as the pins went in, it pulled the front sight post crooked. And so it was like a Century AK at that point. Like it pulled the front sight post all crooked, and we kind of got it by using an undersized pin on one and leaving the other hole done. And I thought, okay, that's good enough, and we went and sighted it in, and the windage adjustment in the rear sight had to be almost all the way over to the other one side. And I was like, oh, this doesn't look right. And it just didn't look right. So I thought, okay, so they sell these clamp on A2 front sight posts, which look just like the same, but instead of using the tapered pins, they have like a threaded hole in each side. So there's one on each side, and then the bottom. So there's like 5 or 6 different set screws that you just tighten against the barrel. And I thought, okay, well, I can do the same thing with mine. And I just drilled them, and I started tapping them, and I tapped the 4 sides just fine. I went to whatever size hole I had. I went to the next size up tap, so I would be able to get a set screw in there. And then I went to this big beefy part right where the bayonet lug is up on front. That's a really thick piece of metal there. And I drilled it out just fine. I went to go tap it, and the tap broke. And we're using really good taps. The taps that we have at work for all of our stuff and doing in the machines. And I took that as a sign that, okay, this, I shouldn't be doing this. I'm forcing the issue too much here to make it work. So I ended up buying a Ballistic Advantage. I think it's Aero Precision and Ballistic Advantage. I think it's the same company, right? So they sell barrels that are already done where they'll install the front sight, drill it, and pin it and all that for you. So I bought this barrel. It's an 11.5-inch barrel. They had it screwed in, but then, it shows up, and there's no, you need this retainer plate to slip in between the shoulder of the barrel and the gas block, and you need to get the barrel nut with the delta ring on it if you're using handguards. Well, the barrel shows up with none of that on there, and so I'm thinking, oh man, because I don't know if you've ever taken these taper pins off. They are a bear. Thankfully, I have the right tools now. I used to do this with punches, and I'd inevitably bust or bend these punches because it's such a small pin, and the pin sets you get, they're the long shank pins, and you have to beat these pins to you need that shock value to break that pin loose. Once it's broken loose, it usually comes out just fine. But since I think they hydraulically press a lot of them, so they're in there pretty good. So I was worried, but I finally got the Geisley pins. These Geisley sells this set, which has like a really, almost looks like a wedge. It's a really fat, and then it goes down to right the size. So there's no shaft to it. It goes almost just right to that first point. And you use that to just smack it with a hammer really good, and there's nothing to bend or deflect. And then it has a secondary pin punch that is the more right size that you can finish it off with. And then they give you a third punch that is a set, like a cupped design, because these are domed pins. That's the other part that's kind of hard. They're not, you can't, when you're putting them back in, you can't easily just use a regular roll pin punch that has a little center post in it. The Geisley set has a concave tip on it that then matches the concave, whatever, the domed end of the pin. And so that's the right tools to do the job. So I was a little hesitant because I had to take these pins out that Aero just put in to get this front sight post off to put all the other stuff back on it. And thankfully, I think they know that people have to do this, so they don't put them in super tight on the initial thing. You know, they drill them and ream them, and then they just kind of stick them in there. So it came out nicely, and then I was able to get them in after I put all the handguard hardware on, and so that was fine. But then I wanted this kind of retro look. So what I did was I sent the upper receiver, lower receiver, and the buffer tube out to Pike over at Mod 1 Firearms. He's my go-to Cerakote guy, and he is amazing. This is it's very subtle. It's hard to actually show up on pictures. I took a photo of it, and you could definitely tell it's a different color than the black plastic furniture. Yeah. But it's a very subtle gray. So it almost looks like a Parkerizing gray. That's what I was going for. It's just something, not that real chalky gray that you see the old retro rifles, but like just more of a subdued, but not so gray like a sniper gray. I wanted something in the middle, and Pike delivered 100%. So it's amazing. It looks great. I even bought a Brownell's 20 round straight mag, the aluminum straight mags for that kind of retro look. And this one, I did an A2 grip and a standard M4 stock. And normally I would swap those out immediately for some cool Magpul furniture or whatever. And this one, I had the BCM grip on it and a Magpul stock and everything. And actually, I went back to this. I think this is so much more simple and clean, and it just fits the whole persona of this gun that I really like it so far. I shot it before I built it all. We shot it just to make sure it all ran, but I'm curious to shoot it after the Cerakote and everything. There's two things that I screwed up on this that I would caution other people to do before they do it. Is I put it all together, and I went to go close the upper down on the lower, and it wouldn't close. And I was like, uh-oh, what did I do wrong? And I thought it was Cerakote buildup between the tang on the upper going down into the cavity of the lower. And then I never put an M16 trigger packet together. You know, it's got this third pin, and there's like a little bracketry that goes in there that engages the other disconnectors and all that. So I thought I screwed that up somehow. So, you know, I'm going to have to probably clear my search history, but I'm searching like full auto trigger installation and, you know, all these things that are just probably red flags for the ATF. But I thought maybe I did that wrong. Well, lo and behold, what I had done is I had screwed the buffer tube in too far. So this particular buffer tube has the kind of on the bottom, the 6 o'clock position where the buffer detent is, it has like a little tang that sticks out, like a little fingers that go around the thing, which is nice. So I just kept screwing it until it was bottomed out. And I'm like, oh yeah, you're good to go. And in hindsight, I didn't realize it, but when I was putting the end plate on, you know, I usually tighten them over about a quarter turn, so this end plate is clocked away from the detent spring hole. And while it was exposed, I put the spring in, and then, you know, I slip it back up and down, and then push the plate in and tighten the castle nut. Well, I realized the spring seems kind of like loosened, like it went down pretty good. Well, what had happened is I threaded it too far in, so then the upper was hitting the actual tubes of the buffer tube on the other side on the inside of the receiver. So that's why it wouldn't close. So I backed off the buffer tube, got it all back together, went to go put the thing together, and realized I forgot to put the rear takedown pin in while I had it apart. And so I went, but of course the detent and spring went in super easy because there was no safety plunger or safety in there, or a takedown lever in there. So then I had to take the whole buffer tube back off to be able to get the takedown pin, all the detent and spring off, to get the takedown pin in there. So I made some goofy mistakes. Thankfully they were nothing detrimental to it. And then also I put it together, and I'm flipping the sight, the rear light leaf spring sight back and forth, you know, to see the different apertures. And I noticed one is supposed to have an L on it, and I'm looking at the L. I'm like, I don't see an L. Where's the L? And I looked at the front. The L was facing forward, so which means I put my little sight in backwards. So I had to unscrew the whole sight assembly, take it all apart, flip the sight back around, and put it all back together. After all that was said and done, I think I have a pretty awesome little 11-inch M16. It's very light, very handy. You know, there's a quick, you know, everybody wants to throw gadgets and gizmos on the gun, and this one probably could use a light, but, you know, I've got other guns for that. Like, that's my primary weapons gun is my go-to gun that has the red dot and the light and the IR laser and all the cool stuff.
Well, you know, if you throw a light on it, you got to throw the retro 80s light that is like big as a camping light with the big, like 9-volt battery in it.
Yeah, the big battery, you have to put like a purse strap on to carry the battery separately with a coiled wire between them.
Right.
Yeah. But no, I think this is going to stay like this as far as I'm concerned. It's super light, super small, handy. It's an 11.5-inch barrel, so you still get the velocity out of it. You know, it's not just a pooter shooter at distance. So it's I think it should be pretty awesome. I'm really stoked with it, and Pike over at Mod One's just killed it on the circuit.
Yeah, it looks amazing, and I like the gray. I'm looking at the picture here. You can definitely easier to tell in the picture. I think you nailed it. It's really good.
And I ran it with a suppressor on it when we tested it, and it changed the balance of the gun. It changed the weight of it. Everything. This gun is not going to be that gun. The suppressor gun is a suppressor gun. This is going to stay this way. I think it makes way more sense. Even though I'm a big proponent of suppress everything, I don't think it makes sense on this one.
So what for, because you get everything free, what would this cost the average Joe?
Well, it would cost you a FFL and an SOT and a licensing. If you want to make an AR-15 version of it.
No, not full auto, just like SBR.
Honestly, what I would do, and if I was going to do this all over again and wanted to do it as an AR-15, I think I would just buy the Brownells retro carbine, and just cut. And if I wanted SBR it, pull the big flash hider off, because it's already the right barrel length pretty much, and it just has like a 4-inch or 5-inch flash hider on it.
Oh, really? That's cool. I didn't realize they made that.
Yeah, I think it might be a 12.5-inch barrel, but I'll put a link in the show notes. But yeah, their gun is basically what I was emulating. The only thing I didn't like about that gun, which really probably doesn't matter anything, but was the twist rate on their barrel. I think was 1 in 12.
Okay, and
which
why?
I thought was a little strange.
What does yours have then?
I knew you were going to ask me that, and I don't remember. I think it's 1 in 7 or 1 in 8. Usually the carbines are 1, 7, 8, or 9. That's all the standard rates. So the Brownells gun is their XBRN 177E2, which there's a link in the show notes. But essentially, this gun already is what I built. It's got a simpler stock on it, which is more of a retro-y style stock, and that's good too. I just didn't have one, and I couldn't find one easily, and I didn't care that much about it. It's got the A1 grip. The difference on the A1, that you could see that it doesn't have a finger groove, where the A2 has this little bump right between your ring and middle finger. It's basically the same, but slightly different. They use a forward assist upper, which is fine, but it's still an A1. It's got the carbine handguards. But you see, it's a 12.7-inch barrel plus the big old flash hider. So I assume that is just pin and welded, that you could just drill the pin out and break it off if you want to go to an SBR. But that's probably pretty cool too if you just leave it like that, if you want a rifle version. But that gun is so close that if I was going to do it all over again and I didn't care about the twist rate, which I shouldn't really care about the twist rate, but it was one of those things that just kind of struck me as weird. It looks like it's $1,400 basically at Brownells.
Yeah, it's not on sale right now. It's currently on back order, so they must be selling them pretty good. It's pretty cool looking. I mean, it's a little pricey for me.
All those retro, like those FN collector guns that are like the FN makes a series of guns that are kind of like what you would take overseas if you were in the service, but it's a semi-auto version. Those guns go for big money too. I don't get it myself. I mean, you could build something cheaper, but they're doing a lot of kind of period correct stuff, which if you care about,
I really like that. Yeah.
Yeah, and so that's where they're getting. Okay, so their gun is 5 pounds 13 ounces. So mine's probably a little bit lighter because I don't have the flash hider. I have shorter barrel.
Well, I think you did it right going with the slab side. The forward assist on there is a turn off. I do like their grip better.
Yeah, and actually Dan gave me one of those because he had one laying around in his shop, and I had it on here for a while. And I thought, I don't need that. I'm going to go to a BCM. And then I changed my mind last minute. So I could still get it from him probably, but this A2 for me is fine. Unless I get really crazy, I'll have it swapped out.
Their stock is a super slim, super simple stock. It almost looks like a brace, but it's not.
Yeah, and I think that's what they were like back in the day. I mean, that's what.
Yeah, they probably
got all complicated. Yeah. So it's cool. I'm really happy with it. I think it's exactly what I wanted. I need to get a suit now and get some plate carriers to wear with the suit and a big old duffel bag, and I can fulfill my Heat cosplay costume.
Duffel bag full of toilet paper.
I saw the meme there. Yeah.
Yep. No,
so I'm super excited.
That's a good build. Now I might have to spend some money later this year to copy you. We'll see.
So what did before I get to my next topic, what did you do anything so far this week?
I didn't shoot anything. I don't think I didn't build anything. I thought I would get that other chassis put together, but I've just been too busy running around and prepping for the apocalypse and everything. But it is interesting because I was to a farm store that I've never been in before, and this is like the opposite direction I usually go. And I'd seen they still had like sales on ammo going in their latest flyers. I'm like, I wonder. And so
I flip this?
Yeah, no. So I had to go there for like some chicken and bird supplies and stuff. But I checked out the ammo and like all the sale stuff was wiped out. But they still had full cases of anything you'd want to get. You could buy, and they even had like things like 300 Blackout, which you don't always see at farm stores and stuff like that. And, so yeah, I got some 223. I got some, good old Tula. But, that was super cheap. And then, I got the American Eagle and then the Frontier by Hornady, and then the Arms Corps, which this Arms Corps is actually made in the USA, 223, 55 grain. And like these are like $650 a piece, which, I mean, the prices people are paying for ammo online right now. I'm like, yeah, man, I'll pick some of this up. And then, I got some 5.56 American Eagle, 150 rounds. And this was like, I don't know, like 36 cents a round, which, I mean, for right now isn't bad.
Yeah, I think normally it's only it's about 30 cents, and I've seen prices in the 40 cents or so range. So I think that's doing pretty good for right now.
So, I mean, I didn't get a ton of 223, 5.56, but, and I have some, I've got like a whole ammo can of loaded mags besides what I have. And so I didn't really need it, but like at the same time, I remember history. I remember the last few elections and everything, and how, it's like an ammo drought for over 12 months. And I'm like, is that what we're in now? I don't know. I hope not. But at the same time, I'm like, if I see it and it's a good price, I've seen it in stock in 3 other places, and it was more money than I was willing to pay. But like these were pretty decent prices for, they were regular prices still. So, I was still going to pick it up, just in case this is an extended thing, which I hope it's not. And like, I was going to grab like all of the Arms Corps out of there. And she's like, old lady was like, oh, I'm sorry, we have a 2-box limit now. I'm like, per style. She's like, yeah. I'm like, well, there's no signs. She's like, oh, well, here, take some more of this one. And like, she being like a real nice, sweet old lady. And
is this lady related to the old lady that had the scary Charger that did your transfer? Because she sounds the same.
No, maybe it's a South Dakota thing. I don't know. Picked up some Ely Target 22 to try out in some of the builds. And then I don't know, I got like some shotgun, and then like our Walmart had 12 gauge isn't being sold out, but like since I actually have a shotgun now, I'm like, better buy some cheap cases of 12 gauge. So, and then the order came in that I got from SGammo.com or whatever.
Yeah, you said bought a bunch of 22, you said, right?
Yeah, so I bought a 5,000 case of the CCI Clean 22. And this was actually on sale when I got it. I got really good price on these. It was slightly before the rush. And then like
those are what you got to explain about those. Those are nice because they're coated bullets. So when you're loading your mags, you don't get oily fingers or leaded up fingers that are red poly coat.
when my kids are loading my mags, they don't get lead on their fingers. Yeah. So
yeah, I've got some of that too, and I like it. It's just it doesn't suppress well because it's high velocity, so I don't shoot a whole lot of it. But for what your purpose is, it'll be perfect.
Yeah, and so then I even got some. This was on sale too. The breast cancer
I have that too.
ribbon, pink.
Yep.
It's pink coated. I'm like, I've got three daughters, so I'm like, girls, you want to load some magazines?
Yep, I've got that same ammo too. That's cool. Back to that. Back to the 223 thing. What this whole pandemic thing has taught me is that I've got collectively a few thousand rounds of 5.56, and that's not enough really, and I need more. But what really screwed me is I don't have enough of one type and kind. And so like I have 1,000 rounds of the green tip, whatever the hell that is, the green tip stuff. And that's good because my biggest frustration with this is like, okay, I can sight in with one ammo and I know that this gun is point of aim, point of impact, this ammo and this gun. And then, okay, but if I only have 200 rounds of that ammo and I run through that, I can't guarantee that this other ammo that is similar but not the same is going to be even close. I mean, it should be close enough, like man size, if it comes down to that. But I really need to just settle on a load, bite the bullet, and buy like 5,000 rounds of the same exact ammo. And then at least I don't have to worry about resighting all these guns in all the time. I can just be done with it. And that's what I've done that with the 6.5 Creedmoor. I've settled on the Hornady 140 grain ELDM. Like that's the load, and anything else I'll just deal with whatever it is off, but the guns are going to be sighted to the 140, and that's that,
Well, I'm totally screwed. My whole 223 5.56 collection looks like this. It's completely like 12 different kinds, maybe more than that. It's going to be spray and pray for me. I mean, screw it. Forget even sighting it in at this point. Jeez.
Point shoot. And I do that. I keep a lot of variety around just for when I'm doing articles and I need to do tests for, accuracy and all that and see what different brands and what gun likes what. But for I'm more talking about my go-to rifle, like my bump in the night. This is my rifle I'm taking to war kind of thing. Mm-hmm. That gun has to be sighted with a one, and I have to be confident in it. And so I just need to buy more of the same. And really, I need to buy premium ammo. I think that green tip is fine, but really, I need to get like some 77 grainers or whatever that real heavy
it's so
ammo
much more
expensive.
I know they had a bunch of premium ammo at this farm store too, which I was really surprised. And I mean, it really wasn't a bad price for being premium ammo either. But I'm like, 50, 60 cents a round. I'm like, this other stuff is 34 cents a round. It's just so hard. It's like double the price per round. And like I have some like law enforcement rounds and stuff for my AR, but I don't know. It's anyways, back to this shipment I got a few other kinds of 22. I got the Federal Premium HV Match, which I've never had these before. They're 40 grain, 1200 FPS. And then I've never seen these either. The Winchester Expert 22. These are supposed to be a little bit higher end, I suppose, but these are 36 grain, 1280 FPS. But I mean, the more I look at 22 ammo, the more frustrated I am because there are like a million different kinds of it, and every brand has a million different flavors of it. It's just like, oh, holy crap. Because I was like, it'd be kind of cool to like run through all the different kinds of 22 in this gun, and then you realize how many different kinds of 22 there are.
Oh, I tried that to find what accuracy was on those guns that I did last summer, and I think I got 3 ammos in. I thought, and I had like 5 or 6 to test. I was like, yeah, screw it. This is too much work. This is not worth it. And because then once you get into that many ammos, especially if you're doing the same sitting, is like, okay, am I being more fatigued and I'm not doing the same concentration? So like, is it really the ammo or is it me? But actually everything I just said about the 223 ammo applies to the 22 ammo as well. And I already kind of have done that. I've standardized on CCI standard velocity ammo. That is it's accurate for what it is. It's not that expensive. It's consistent, and it's close enough for me. So I've really done that, and I've bought I think 5,000 rounds of that ammo. So that stuff is good in my book.
Yeah, I mean, you've shot way more than me, but so far it seems like the CCI, for the most part, is if you just want to grab something and go, you're pretty good going with them.
And that coated bullets really makes a difference for just pleasant experience issues shooting.
Yeah.
I really like not having to get all that oil. Like I've got that Wolf Match target that it feels like they just dip the bullets in motor oil and then package them because it's just like you just have like slimy hands when you're done.
Well, I know, and I got this 5,000 round box of this Clean 22 CCI, and after I opened it up and looked at it, I'm like, man, I should just buy this from now on and just not even worry about anything else, just because the clean factor, especially with kids. If you got kids loading mags, and it does worry me that they're the lead version. That I'm like, you gotta wash your hands with cold water, and they gotta do that with anything they touch, obviously, ammo wise. But it gives you a little more peace of mind that the CCI will wash off quicker.
Yeah. And I really like, too, the CCI. I mean, the other ammo does it, too, but it's not a bulk box that you're just grabbing handfuls of ammo. It's
exactly
100-round trays and plastic trays. And what I really like is, like, my bolt-action guns that hold 10, you can slide the top layer down to 2 rows exposed, dump that in your hands, and you got exactly what your mag needs.
Yep.
It's the little things that the things that you really start caring about once you get into it deep.
Yeah, I noticed that testing these rifles is that because I was running a 15-round mag and a 25-round mag, and I was telling my kids to put exactly what they take in it, and so I showed my son exactly what he said. You can drop them out 5 at a time because they're 5 rows wide. So it makes it super easy to count them and make sure you're not trying to shove too many in a magazine.
Exactly.
So, anyways, I don't know. I think that's pretty good for the show. Did you have anything else? Anything else you did in guns this week?
Yeah, I did one other thing that I just kind of got some parts going for converting my Scorpion into a SBR. So it's really good as a pistol. There's nothing wrong with it. But I wanted the B&T stock. So the B&T stock is kind of what the SB tactical brace is modeled after. It's the same length. Everything's the same when you look at it. But I have a link in the show notes for an MP5, but it's the same stock on the back half. So that's the stock that I have from B&T. I got one in stock finally. So I got that. I got the adapter to hook up to the Scorpion. So it's like just a slip on, the Scorpion has a rail on the back that you slip the adapter on. And so I have this and that. And then, I'm in talks with A3 Tactical about getting one of their grips, and I should be getting that very soon. So it'll be an MP5 style grip. And, the cool thing with their grips is they're kind of modular. So you have this base that is, I think the base is metal, and it goes right into the M-lock slots. And then it has modular grips that you bolt through onto the base. So it has integrated hand stop. So it's kind of like an MP5 style where you have the little hook on the front so your fingers can't slip up in front of it, and then you got the grip on it. So hopefully they're cool. It looks good in the pictures when they have guns like the Scorpion in the little preview windows.
It does.
And I think it made it look a lot cooler than just putting like a Magpul VFG on it. It looked like it belonged on it. So hopefully that all comes together. It'll be a little bit till I get it all together, but it's one of my next projects.
Awesome. Yeah, I think that's gonna look cool. All right. Well, Patriot Patch Company helps make this episode possible. Check out the Patch of the Month Club at patriotpatch.co. Also, check out all the awesome designs, over 85 designs in stock. Also, check out the cleaning mats and everything else, patriotpatch.co. And if you're looking for artwork design, website design, check out hunterofdesign.com. Ryan Cross, he does all the awesome patch design for Patriot Patch Co., but you can get him working on your designs for your company or your website. So check out hunterofdesign.com. And Zach, where can people connect with you online, find what you're up to?
take a look at the links in the show notes for YouTube. If you want to just go to YouTube, it's Zack Carlson Writer, and then RangeHot is always a good place to see him too.
Cool. And you can reach us at gunguyradio@gmail.com. And don't forget to check out all the other awesome shows here on the Firearms Radio Network. Thank you, Zach.
Thank you.
And we'll see you next week.
This has been a production of the Firearms Radio Network. You can find more information at firearmsradio.tv.